is where I think as well, I've not been traveling enough. I've got too into the 3D world. Although I meditate every day, I do yoga every day. I need to be out experiencing more.
Yeah.
And yeah, what you're saying is absolutely spot on. And also, I wanted to thank you because when you noticed that horrendous infection on my jaw,
Hmm.
the surgeon who repaired it said that it could have been fatal. It got so bad, the infection was so bad that it could have given me a stroke or a heart attack or
Oh, I
brought
don't
on
even remember
Alzheimer's.
that. Did I see it in another channeling or
Yeah,
another?
you did. And you said you need to get to the dentist right away. I did
Oh,
drive
no.
past. I went to the dentist and you essentially said, my, and who'd have thought a dental infection would have
Oh
been
my
that bad?
gosh. I don't even
Yeah,
remember having channeled that. That's
yeah,
just how
yeah,
channeling works. It comes in, it shows me
yeah.
something. Do you mind if I use this part of the clip so I can share it to people? Because I think that
No,
would be
absolutely.
okay,
Yeah,
very good.
absolutely. Because yeah, and I've had all the dentistry done now, but the apicectomy part of it was worse than he wouldn't even let me look at the tooth that came out. It was so rotten. But he had to chip
Wow.
away at more of my jaw than they were expecting to because it was so bad and
Oh my
potentially so
gosh, I'm
dangerous.
so glad that
Yeah,
you've told me that because I didn't even remember that coming through. But that's just a perfect
yeah.
example of how psychic mediumship and
Mm,
what do you call it? Medical mediumship works is that we can
yeah.
see things like with laser vision from the psychic perspective, and it can be life-saving, can't it? You are a perfect
It
example of
literally
that.
was. And I would never
Wow.
ever have thought of life saving being connected with the tooth, but it was that
Yeah.
bad it would have. So had you not really emphasized this has got to be sorted out immediately, I'd have probably waited until it really hurt. And
When
who
did we
knows if
have
I'd have
that
made it.
session? A year ago?
A year ago,
A
or
year
just
ago.
over a
Okay.
year ago, actually. Yeah.
Right.
And
See,
in
I didn't
that
even
year,
remember
I've
that coming through. Interesting.
yeah,
Well, very good.
yeah.
And you probably didn't
So
come in for a medical mediumship session at that time either, huh?
I I didn't. I came to because you were also right about how to approach my ex about the woods. That came pretty
Uh-huh.
much exactly as you said it would. But because I was going into battle with him then, that was really the focus. And
I
the
remember that
medical,
part.
yeah,
I didn't
that
remember the jaw part
medical,
though. So basically
and
what I
I
saw was
dry fasted.
okay, so what I
Yeah,
saw was that it was infected and then you went to the dentist and he said it could have killed you.
yeah, yeah,
Very, very
yeah,
good. I'm so glad
yeah,
that you acted on it then. This is why it's so important for people. I've had clients before that they have missing loved ones. And there's one lady in
yeah,
particular that I recently did a session with, and I can't say the name of who she is or who her daughter is. Her daughter's
yeah.
still missing because she's been unalived. And I saw the whole thing from beginning to end. It was the first time I talked to her. I experienced what her daughter was feeling. I saw everything that she was seeing in the car. I saw that they were doing drugs and things like that. And I saw the whole scene. But this lady, the mother, was working with a detective and the investigator, a private investigator, he doesn't want to trust the psychic abilities. And so I saw right where they took her body, and I
Mm.
saw everything that the investigator had kind of been finding, but I never knew. And I had just met the lady the day before and gave her the session, and everything that I said was pretty much in line with what the investigator had found, but I had a couple other pieces. I even saw above, because I was seeing what the daughter was seeing when she came out of her body. And I was looking down at the park and all the buildings there. And
Wow.
it's just amazing that when people don't trust the psychics and the abilities that some of us have, he's
Mm.
preventing her from getting closure.
It's cruel, isn't
It's
it?
cruel.
He's yeah, like I say, it's keep it having such a closed mind. You're closing out so much.
And in certain
Um,
ways, it's kind of on her because she's doing it to herself by giving him that power because it's her child and she could say, no, I want you two to work together. She hasn't made
yeah.
up her mind to do that. And so she's giving all the power to him and letting him, and he wants to, it's ego.
Oh
He
yeah,
wants to
yeah,
be
yeah.
the one that solves it. And it's like, well, you can still be the one that solves it. Just try to trust what I'm saying here and at least try to work with me. Maybe, or
Yeah.
So sad, but I'm so glad that you acted on that and that you got it resolved, because that
Yeah,
is, and I thank you for letting me use this to share with others too, because it's your genuine experience. And I
absolutely.
think that helps
Yeah,
people so much to have
yeah.
real success stories and things like that, because I didn't even remember that it came through. Sometimes it's just coming through me and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, you said dry fast until you get to the dentist, which I said, oh, but I did a couple of days dry fasting, then I
Good.
did water fast because you wanted it to drain as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and it worked, and yeah, yeah. So thank you.
And so it ended up being infected, and then he removed it, and that's when you got all your other dental work done, huh?
Yeah, it was here. And I've been looking at potentially getting dental implants. And some surgeons said they wouldn't touch it because, do you remember her first husband? There was a lot of damage to my jaw, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that. So, um, but this other dentist looked at it and he did the 3D X-ray
Mm-hmm.
and saw how bad the damage was further back. The infection had spread where a normal,
Now that
it
you're
wouldn't have
telling
been.
me about it, I'm remembering what I saw.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And as I say, they brought it all along, and now I've had these implants. There's only two, but there's two bridges. And yeah, I've gone as right as rain. But if he'd let it go any further, nothing would have been possible because all the bone was decaying. It was rotting
I
away.
remember
My
now. I
jaw.
remember now seeing how
Yeah.
badly infected it was. I'm so glad that you reminded me of that, because that is just,
Oh well,
that
I'm so
helps
glad
me so much feel better,
for my
because
life.
I love success stories like that, and I love people like you
Yeah.
that actually act on the things that come through, because again, imagine what could have happened if you didn't trust me.
Oh, I know. And it wouldn't, like he said, he gave me a list. Alzheimer's, it could have triggered Alzheimer's, but stroke and heart attack, because that level of bacteria going straight to the brain could be fatal.
Yep.
It's exactly what he said. But yeah, so thank you so much. And
Yay.
I
Oh,
tell you,
thank you for
I
reminding me.
listen to everything you say. I really do. And here I am because of it.
I love it. I love it. And not to I give all credit to the divine, because it comes from there. I am just a portal, but I love hearing stories like that, because it helps me feel really good about the work I'm doing. Sometimes I get so frustrated with my work, but I love to hear stories like that, because it makes it all worthwhile.
Good, well, good, Ellen. I'm credit where credit's due. As I say, you literally saved my life.
Oh,
Um, and living on my own here, if I'd have had a stroke, there's nobody I could have reached to. I'd have been eaten by the cats eventually,
yeah.
found goodness knows when, So
Yeah.
it was amazing, you
Thank
know.
you. I'm glad you reminded me about that. I didn't remember that in our session, but I know that I've had a lot of sessions like that with people where I see all kinds of things, and I don't know, they don't, some of them don't come back and tell me later, so I don't know if they acted on it or what. I've had other cases where I have people following me and they never schedule a session or anything, and then they go and unalive themselves, and it's devastating, because there's ways to help them not do that, and there's and it can be very quick and easy for them to shift them into a positive state of
Yeah,
life. And so I hate to hear that, but I love to hear stories like yours, because
yeah, yeah.
that's what it's all
Well,
about in the
thank you.
end. That's the key of connecting with the spirit, is that we can see things that aren't humans really don't see normally. So even sometimes medical things that the x-rays won't see can be seen in the psychic world.
Well, funnily enough, because of what you said and my insistence, they did the 3D and they saw how bad it was before, because the normal x-rays wouldn't have, they've just picked up
Oh, I
something.
see.
They
I
would
see.
have seen this,
So
how
they did
bad
a
it
deeper
was.
x-ray.
Yeah, yeah, they did
Okay,
a three-dimensional one. I had to go and have this really weird thing done.
I
Funnily
see.
enough, he'd suspected it anyway, but I had to
Um,
go into this supermarket car park where they got this private one that came along. that drove to Cornwall for this especially, and they did this special thing and
Did you
realised
tell
just
him
how
that you
simple.
saw a psychic that saw it,
I
or
told him afterwards. I told him afterwards because he's quite open. Actually, he's a lovely guy. Because he was teasing me. He said, "All this dental work, I've never." He said, "I could trade you for some woods." I said, "No, your dentistry is not going to be that expensive." But
that's
yeah,
funny?
he's a really lovely guy. Actually, really nice man.
And so you
Uh,
had to ask them to do the deeper X-ray to see deeper. Is
Yeah,
that right?
what he suspected, he said something. He said he was poking around. No one else had bothered. He said, "I'd actually." He said, "Would you be averse? I want to look into this a bit deeper." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I just sensed something's really wrong." And afterwards, I said it had been spotted. And he's like, "Well, I'm glad you told me." And so yeah,
Very good.
so
See,
good.
that's the power of psychic abilities. It's having laser vision to get into the
Yeah,
deep, deep, deep
yeah.
quantum part of your bodies and stuff. I'm so glad to
And
hear that.
also your delivery was fantastic because you relayed urgency, but I wasn't terrified. When
Hmm.
he told me afterwards, I was like, "Oh my God!" But the way you delivered it, you got me to do what I wanted to do without like crying my eyes out for 3 days before I managed to get
Oh,
to the dentist. So thanks
I'm
for
so
that
glad
as
you
well.
acted on it though, because imagine, yeah, I'm so glad that you acted on it. I feel bad because I'm not in control of people's choices, obviously. I can just do my part, but it's you also who had to hear it and receive it and act on it, and that's your part of the deal. So I'm glad that you did and that it all worked out.
It certainly did.
Very good. Very good.
No, I'm so glad we got to see each other this Chinese New Year, the new moon. It's been lovely. Thank you so much, Helen.
You're so welcome,
Been
and I look forward to hearing from you